Welcome to Factorio Masterclass. My name is Nilaus and we are here back on Volcanus, and today we're going to do a deep dive on one particular object, one particular item, and I guess you can guess what that is. We're going to be doing some taking a look at some blue circuits, processing units, yes, blue circuits, whatever. And what I was thinking before I do this, and it's like, okay, the thing with Space Age is that we can't make something consistent level because you might have a different level of quality and than I have, and therefore they might be different. So I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if we could design something that works for just when you get the electromagnetic plants? You haven't even been to Clever because it's a miserable place, so you don't have productivity 3, but you still want to make some blue circuits and you want to make them efficiently. And then later on, you've been to Gleba and you got this and you got up to rare quality everything. That's at least our assumption. Then wouldn't it be cool if the same build could work for this and this? But then in the very late game, when you got legendary everything, wouldn't that be cool if the same build could just be upgraded with a neat upgrade planner and it still works? So that's the design principle for us today, is to do a consolidated build for blue circuits that follows this design principle, that it should be the same. And that means that it'll be slightly off in one level and slightly off in maybe in something else. But in general, it'll be something that works in all stages of the game. However, it excluded uncommon and epic because they are irrelevant in my opinion. Because before you get to, as soon as you get started on more quality, then you might as well go to rare. And then getting to epic doesn't really yield a whole lot for the extra effort, in my opinion, and it's really the legendary that gets you there. So these are the 3 steps that I want to do. This is also how I'd recommend that you take the normal, the rare, and the legendary, but not really mess with the other ones in between. But that's of course up to you. It probably works fine if you have some mix, but the design here is these are consistent. So, if that sounds interesting, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. And of course, as usual, I'll be providing blueprints for patron supporters. And if you are not a patron supporter or don't want to do that, then you can just watch and we'll do the design and we can sort of see the design criteria emerge as we start working on it. All right, so let's start by breaking down into what we want, or what are the things we want. So we want this to be taking in basically raw materials. So if we break it down, we're going to have some red circuits as well. We're going to have some green circuits as well. And then we're going to have some circuits or some... Where are you? You're here. And that'll go in here. This will be some copper cables there. I'm going to make them in here. And then I'm going to use this space. And that is going to be making iron plates. I will actually exclude this from here. And here's the choice. I'm going to design this so it works on Volcanus, but if you are not on Volcanus, then you can also I'll make it so that it also works somewhere else, because this one produced 93.3, and if I take the same exact one, but instead of using the lava and calcite, then instead use this one, it produces exactly the same. So you can interchange these, but I'm going to make it for Volcanus because that's where I want to make it, but it works equally fine. So those are the things we need in order to make it. And then we can, of course, like a smattering of beacons and all that stuff here and there. And let's see, we do want to have these modules here. There, that one. So how big are we? So if we look at this, then we can reduce everything down. Okay, we got the sulfuric acid. That's something we have to get in, but that's not really a big deal because you always need sulfuric acid. Here we have plastic. Copper and greens, those can be made, but plastic cannot be made as part of this. Iron, we get that here, and then the cables, we get that from here, and that comes from the whoops, this one should also be doing copper as well. So we both have an iron and a copper build. Right, so with all this build, the only thing we don't have is, of course, the calcite we need here, and we don't have the plastic. So we're going to be importing the plastic. I'm going to put it in on a belt, but how you want it is up to you. Let's start by sort of figuring out how big we want this build. And let's see. Like that. And here. Let's start by saying we want something like this. That is still touching. And, oh man, I'm just getting shapes to shortcuts stuck. There. This is done. So this is going to be our baseline. That is not a whole lot to be done right now. But I guess that's kind of all we can get right now. 2.88, yes. We can put a little bit more beacons on it, but that's kind of it. But that means it's 3.2 of these, and if we just make this, get that as close up here as possible, then we start including this one. That's of course not enough, so we need, even though this is touched by one beacon, we're going to be having to touch it by another beacon as well. Let's get that in here. And that also affects this part, so we will now see, okay, there's a slight deficit here. Well, that might be something we'll have to deal with. It is actually quite a significant deficit, isn't it? But, you know, it's... yeah, you could say there's a deficit. You could also say that this is just producing more, or trying to produce more than it can. Let's keep it like this and just kind of accept it as it is. This thing here can be squeezed in right there, and I can then get another one down here. And then let's have a look. So that's obviously going to be producing way more coils than I need. But I will then, what if I build something like this and on the side? So now let's have a look at this ratio here. Well, everything is slightly low. And maybe that's just how we have to do it. Oh, here's the thing. I don't even want that. I actually want it to be produced like this. Okay, so now there's still a slight deficit, but it's just slight deficits everywhere. That means we're not going to get the 3.3. We're going to be getting slightly less. But it's still like not awful. Between 37.7 and 40, that's okay. 69 versus 61. Yeah, it's a little bit off. But on the other hand, I think it kind of evens out. Kind of. That's what I'm telling myself at least. Right, so at this point, we're going to be figuring out how much we want. Let's see, is that going to be enough? I need this to be a little further away, otherwise I can't get enough room for this. There. And we need 2 of these because they actually are pretty slow comparatively. Then there's again a little bit of a deficit, but we can fix that with another beacon down here, because I know that I'm going to need a beacon for this part here and this part here. Now notice that one is copper and the other one is iron, so I think I actually want to cut and flip. Yes, so we get the iron. No, flip again. There. I want the copper over on this side, because then I can go up here. This is where I need the copper to also go, or only to go there. Right, so if you look at this entire thing, yeah, it's there's enough molten iron and copper, enough iron plates, that's good. We have a slight deficit of each of these, but in the grand scheme of things, or sort of from the perspective of this is going to be scalable, when we exchange, when the productivity gets better, it will get better. And this is at the worst productivity level we can absolutely get. Also remember that the processing units have a productivity bonus, so this is why I want to focus on productivity. You need it for rocket launching, and you have a huge productivity bonus, so let's get that going first. Right, so if we look at this build, then the next question is, okay, so how are we going to get it sort of mixed up? The one thing that we also need to do is actually make sure that we have somewhere that we can get all these annoying stone out here, and this is the way I always solve it. I'm just making it into landfill and then I throw it away. By having done this a million times by now, I've actually come up with a pretty neat, if I should say so myself, solution to this problem, and that is we're going to be getting, let's say 100 here, and then I'm going to say trash unrequested. That means it goes in here, and then the landfill goes in, and then I don't know what you're doing, but the landfill when it goes in here, it gets trashed. So this works as both an active provider, active provider chest and a requested chest at the same time. So we can use it for both purposes, and that's lovely. I have completely ignored power lines because we're going to be adding those at the end. Now the question is, how do we do this? Because we have a major concern up here that these need a lot of green circuits, 36 green circuits. How do we get that up there? So I'm going to get that, let's see here. I'm going to get that as close as possible that we can get it. As much as I'd like to have it here, I don't think I can. I think I have to build it like this. Here. Let's build it on one side. And you can go up here and then get those in here. And remember, we cannot use any quality for this design. This is purely what we have here. And that's going to go up here. I think. Actually, don't they? How much do they need? You might actually go one further up. Each of these are requiring 10, so that should be fine. Great. And the input here. So that's the green circuits are done. That's dealt with now. And then we need the red circuits. Funnily enough, I actually need to put the red circuits out on a belt because otherwise I'd have to get it up here. So maybe like that. Inbound, and we also need some kind of outbound here. And that will be at this location and this location. So those are the outbounds going out here. They are not going to be stacked because this is not a need for stacking. So that gets us pretty much it. This is going to need some coils, which are coming here. And this one, I think that needs 2. Yeah. And then now comes the next part is how the hell do we get this out to that location, which I think is still possible because we can do this, and then get that in here. It's a little bit silly, but it actually works quite well. Yeah, like that. That is the 2 outbounds for this. How much you're putting out? Outputting 18.8, and that can go out on this belt. So that makes sense. Our issue now is that we have to rely on this. How fast is it? It's consuming 10.3, 10.4. So this is enough, but not like a lot enough. These are going to go inbound, otherwise they go weird. And let's sort this one. And here. Right? And the other part. Unfortunately, I can't do anything clever with this. I can't really come up with anything more clever than this. It's maximum reach. I can't get it in here because then I'd have to take you down and will just be revealed soon how that's not working, because one thing that we don't have is plastic, and I need the plastic to go there. Yeah. And in order for me to get that here, that means I need to get plastic from here and then off to the side. I'm wondering if we can get this a little bit closer. Oh, right. It also needs to split. Because I'm going to need to do the same thing on the side. Yeah. That means you could actually be 1 down. Yeah. That doesn't change anything. If I do that, then this could point downwards. And then the question is, it could go down here, but then I can't get it back up to this line. So we're going to have to, or we're going to be settling for that option out there. Right. Anything missing? This are coming out, this liquid, and then we get inbounds here for the lava coming in. And this plastic is coming in here. It's going up, and I think we have everything in and out. We also have sulfuric acid, so we just need to mirror it on the other side as well. So I think we're ready to fire this up. We made these infinite supplies in here. We're going to get the plastic in. We're going to get some lava in. It's here. And we're going to get some sulfuric acid inbound. Yeah. And also another note, I did make this little tiny mistake. This red is of course going out on this belt and then going into this and into this one up here. And now the question is, does it work? This is not working at all because it doesn't have any red circuits, because this one was turned the wrong way. There you go. And now I don't have any power poles and I don't have any lights. That's something we can definitely get. So I'm still going to rely on non-legendary lights and power poles. Luckily, it's almost like someone has been preparing this and made sure that there is enough room. I'll take this one out and then it still works. And then put some lights in as well. That will be here, 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 here. I guess this would be a good location, and I don't know. Maybe these two are good locations. Yeah, it's better than this. So that here, and then let's get the same thing like that. Right, so that they're all like towards the middle. And this whole thing here is generating not quite 3.3 because there is a little bit of a deficit on these ones, but I'm gonna sacrifice this for sort of the inevitable improvements. And the beauty of this build is that if you need more blue circuits, you stamp this down, provide it with some plastic, and that's it. And then you just get more blue circuits. And you want to scale it up, you just build more of these. There's room for 2 of them into a city block, these small new city blocks, but not more than that. The one thing we can then contemplate is if we now take the whole thing and move it over to another location. I am going to take something else out, like this one here. There. And let's get it powered. Seriously, can I not power it? There, it's powered. And weird that it's because it's only the plastic that I'm constraining. This is not what I want, but what I want is I want to actually upgrade this and see how it works if everything turns blue. Right, so this upgrade planner is taking Mark II productivity and making it into Mark III rare quality. So this goes from 6% productivity to 16% productivity. Massive improvement. These are also just swinging way faster. And here, and I'm not upgrading the efficiency modules because I don't really feel that there's a need for it at this point. I've actually not used modules, but I think like this would be a good idea. There, yes. And then that would be equivalent on here, since we have them a little bit better. The reason why I'm only using Mark II on this one is because they require spoilers. And although you have spoilers, then it's actually research on Gleba, and we don't have Gleba yet. So what if we now take this one? So everything, all the inserters have been upgraded. I have not upgraded any stacking, so we're not relying on stack inserters. The reason why is because stack inserters are available on Gleba, but higher quality stack inserters are really annoying to make because you need higher quality, whatever the hell that is, this one here. Higher quality jelly and carbon fiber, which is an annoying thing to get higher quality jelly. So I'm going to be refraining from doing that, and there's nothing here that would require it. Now I have meticulously gone through every single bit of these and just make sure that they actually work. So there's no sort of hidden bottlenecks. But if we just now look at this part, we can see that there is a discrepancy in terms of cables cannot keep up anymore, but there's also a large surplus of of green circuits. So actually all the surplus green circuits is actually the stuff that's demanding this part. So this is now working, and everything is just in sufficient supply and working just fine. And we're now producing 11.5, and this is actually 11.5, where I would say this one is probably generating 3, then the new one is actually generating, I would say probably correctly, that it is 11.5, which is very nice. So now the last part is, what would this look like if the whole damn thing was legendary? And I'm going to take you out first, because I don't want you going in. Then I am going to take from here, and we're going to just make everything legendary, but not just that. Because now there is a change here. We are actually using stack inserters, because if we look at the whole thing here, we are now generating 500. That's a little bit much. Even though we only need 342, then 342 is not really going to go on one belt. So we do need some stack inserters, and we do need some legendary stack inserters to keep up with this, to push it out on the belt fast enough. Let's just hook it up and see what happens when we fire it up. The one thing that we could be concerned about is this part, this transfer rate here. Why is it not sort of working smoothly? I think it's this one. Yeah. We have very poor robots in our test world, so let's just do this so that it gets going. Right. But there are maybe some things you don't want to upgrade to this. For example, is this technically, it's not really necessary, but whatever. We'll just do that. Here, let's have a look at it. We just want to see that everything is fast enough. This is stalled on the output side, which is exactly what you want. This is stalled on the output side. So when it's blinking red here, it's actually output full. And ingredient shortage comes in very, very quickly, but it's just swinging these ones in. Here, this is looking good. And it then stops on output full. That's perfect. This is having a little bit of issues on getting stuff inbound. That's unfortunate. But I don't think we can do much about this, to be honest, because I need to get one more here, one more inserter, which not really wants to get up here. So I could probably get one more inserter on the top one, but I also think that if we look at it, then it empties the belt pretty well. So can we even get more in here? This is going to be putting in basically a full belt, but there will be a little bit of a glip on the full belt because every time it swings, there's a little bit of space going in. So it can't do a full belt, but it's going to be pretty close to it. You might be able to do a little bit of change to this to make it a little bit more on the top one. So this is now adding a second one to the top, but does it actually make a difference? It's barely moving. So that just, to me, tells me that it wasn't really necessary to do that. So we're going to go back to this option here. And there will be, of course, some swing speed here. But the idea is that if we have one design, then we can upgrade it to the mid game and to the late game, and it still works pretty damn close to perfect. And there is here, if we look at the copper cable, this says -60, but that's okay because we have plus here. You can change all of these to productivity, and let me just get the productivity here. That one. That gets it a little bit better because max productivity is better. Now it's down to 144 versus it was 160 before. Again, it really doesn't matter. It's not really something that makes a big difference here. So we're just gonna leave it as something that gets upgraded all the way through. Okay, this one is constrained on the output side, and as on the output side, it can't output faster than this. So I'd have to have extra here, which means I could potentially make it here, but it wouldn't really get much more on the outside of this belt. So I'm going to be settling on this design, and I'm really happy about this design because even though it's in the beginning, there's a slight deficit keeping it from producing exactly what I need, what is set here. Then the mid game here is pretty damn good. This deficit is covered here. And then it also works just by upgrading the same thing to the late game. Then there's no surplus. It's just a matter of the swing speed here that's keeping it a little bit down. So maybe not producing 42, but maybe like 35 or something like that. That's my best estimate on this. So in the end, I'm ultimately very happy about these designs, and that's kind of what I wanted to show you today. It's a very simple, no, it's not a simple design, but it's one design that will work through the whole thing. And for me, this is really important that I can design once and use many times. It's really one of my big priorities when it comes to Factorio and factory games in general, is that you spend time designing, and once you're done designing, you can just use it multiple times. These two can easily be changed to. If you want to change it over here to having the normal ones, the ones that, no, that's not it. This one. But of course you need the iron ore coming in. So for example, if you want to build this on Gleba, God knows why, or on, well, actually Glebas would be fine to do it, I guess. Or on Novice, for example, then you can use this recipe instead. But I'm going to build it primarily for Volcanus, and therefore, oops, this is how it works for us now. So I hope you found this useful. I am of course providing the blueprint. I am providing it as the starter blueprint, and then also including the upgrade planners, because they are going to be becoming handy in the next episode when we're going to do this exactly the same thing, but we're going to do it for green and red circuits, so that you have all the 3 circuits in builds that are early, mid, and late game designs, and as one design that you don't have to come back and redesign at different stages of the game, because then you can spend a lot of time redesigning the same thing again and again, and now you don't need to. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. I will see you guys in the next episode. Until then, take care, and as always, stay effective.